Students will be talking about greatest integer function or the step function. Remember, the greatest integer function is the value that is the largest integer less than or equal to x. So if you look at the key down at the bottom, negative 3.5, what is the greatest integer, the largest integer, less than and equal to negative 3.5? It's going to be negative 4. However, if we use positive 3.5, the greatest integer or largest integer less than or equal to x is going to be 3. So using that key, we're going to select some numbers and we're going to try to graph this, because if you remember, this function takes on the same stair step shape every time. It just depends on the size of the stair step or the degree to which it is separated when we multiply. So let's plug in some numbers and see if we can graph this. Now look at the negative 4. The negative 4 is inside the greatest integer. So what does that mean? That means we have to subtract that number first, and then we find the greatest integer. If it were outside the greatest integer, we would have to find the greatest integer first and then subtract. So now we're going to subtract first. So 0 minus 4 is going to give us negative 4, and the greatest integer, negative 4, remember it's the largest integer less than or equal to negative 4, is going to be negative 4. So 0, negative 4 is going to be our starting point, and that's going to be a solid dot. And then negative 0.5 minus 4 is going to give us negative 3.5, and that happens to be one of our numbers down at the bottom. Negative 3.5, largest integer less than or equal to, is negative 4. So that point, 0.5 is going to be contained at negative 4 for the y. But then when we go to 1 minus 4 is negative 3, and the absolute value of negative 3 is negative 3. So when we go to 1 on the x, it's going to jump up here to negative 3. So that means the numbers below at negative 4 are going to be on this line with a hollow dot there, because 1 goes to negative 3. So it's above that line. And so we can start to see this graph take shape. Let's go ahead and do the other 2 points just to make sure. So negative 1.5 should give us a negative 3 as well, but let's double check. 1.5 minus 4 is minus 2.5. The largest integer less than or equal to negative 2.5 is negative 3. So that gives us 1.5 negative 3. If you'll notice, that's already graphed. And then 2 minus 4 is going to give us negative 2. Well, that's already an integer. So that means when I go to negative 2 or positive 2 on the x, I get negative 2 on the y. So now we see that this starts to take shape by moving up with a 1 slope, because that's the coefficient of the x. And so I'm going to go ahead and put those dots in for that slope. And then I'll start putting these barbells to look like our step function, greatest integer. And of course, we don't have to do the one at the top because we don't have any graph going any further to the right. So let's fill these in quickly. They all take the same shape. Hollow on the right, solid on the left. And there is your greatest integer function.